Welcome to the Homeschool Show for North Carolinians for Home Education. Our goal is to help you homeschool with confidence and joy. I'm your host, Matthew McDill, and we have as our co-host, Amanda Wares.
Yes, hi.
How's it going?
It's going great.
Good.
Yeah, excited.
So we are at another speech and debate tournament. This time we're in Raleigh. And so we're going to be out of the studio today and recording at this speech and debate tournament. We're surrounded by lots of homeschool kids, lots of homeschool parents doing some pretty awesome stuff. So we'll share some of that with you as well.
My name is Mackenzie Hall, and I am a homeschool student. I think probably my favorite thing about homeschooling is I get to work with my mom and my dad, who deeply care about my education and what I actually learn, the kind of things I'm learning. So the fact that they care deeply about me and my education probably makes it most wonderful. Recently, for the past year or so, I've been greatly interested in philosophy, and also I've been greatly interested in that applied to the environment. So environmental ethics has been my main interest. Another thing I'm involved in is speech and debate, which has been a great blessing to me. What it's enabled me to do is learn how to speak, because naturally I am a great introvert, and I've always had trouble talking to people, but speech and debate has enabled me to think critically, to be able to talk to people, and it's also introduced me into a lot of different ideas, different philosophies that I've enjoyed studying. So it's helped me educationally as well as just practically.
Homeschooling gives the opportunity to really free up the schedule. You know, I'm able to work in the mornings when other people can't. Other gives hours then. Just the flexibility, I suppose. It's really nice to have that. And the time I get to spend with my family. It's not something most families get these days.
All right, so today in Homeschool News, we will give you an update on some legislation we're working on. Then with Homeschool Conversations, we're going to listen to the rest of Matthew's talk with Representative Jeff Zenger. And then on Homeschool Helps with Amanda, I am going to share with you homeschooling high school how-tos.
Ooh,
yeah,
I bet that's in high demand.
Definitely, definitely.
Big questions.
Yes,
Good.
for sure.
Okay, so for homeschool news, we're going to start off with the big one, which is a legislative update. This is the long session for the North Carolina General Assembly, and so we are paying close attention to all the bills that are coming out, especially the ones that would affect education and home education. And so we want to remind you that that is one of the things that we're diligently doing to keep homeschooling free in North Carolina.
Right.
We've also come into we've observed a problem that we would like to solve by proposing legislation, and we're in the process of doing that right now. So what's happening is, in the past few years, it's become more difficult for homeschoolers to find schools that will allow them to take the PSAT and the AP tests with their students. Since testing with the school is the only way to take these tests, NCAG is working on a new bill that would make North Carolina public schools open their doors to homeschool students to test them for the PSAT and the AP tests. You can go to ncag.com/PSAT bill, and any updates we get will be on that link, so you can check that out. So once again, we're working for you to try to make sure that you can do the things you need to do for your home education in North Carolina, and this is just one of those examples. Okay, so speaking of legislation, again, a couple weeks ago, we were able to go to Raleigh, and I was able to sit down with Representative Jeff Zenger, and we saw last week the first part of that conversation. So now we're going to check out the second part of that conversation.
I mean, we're blessed that we have the opportunity to influence outcomes. We have the opportunity to have a voice, and a much bigger voice. The problem is that we don't engage like we should. You will see poll after poll after poll after poll, or studies, I should say, that'll tell you that if everybody that claims to be a Christian would vote, we could win every election. And so our problem is turnout. there's a lot of ways to be engaged, but from being, when it comes election time, to being poll workers, to knocking doors. We had a prayer group on our front porch every Monday night during the election, to lobbying for bills, to helping to raise money, to making awareness on different issues. And there is just a lot of ways to engage. And for me, we have a competitive district. It probably takes about 225 or 250 people total to make it happen. And every single piece of that is vital. And so I really encourage people to, one, that are homeschooling, teach their kids about politics. We're accessible. We love having people come down here to the State House, and we give them a big tour if they come. Teach them about it.
Well, on that topic, April 5th, coming up, is our Capital Fest.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are inviting all the homeschool families in North Carolina to meet us here in Raleigh. We have a great day planned with lots of workshops, tours of the legislative building, the Supreme Court, and we're going to be equipping you to come around and visit all of the reps and senators and represent,
And here's what I would say is, when you come, make sure, since you're going to be coming from all over the state, that you call the office of your representative and your senator and tell them you're coming, and try to get an appointment so that you meet them and talk to them. And that's really, really vital. And it's great for your kids, because now it's not kind of politics and government over here. It's, here you go.
So let's back up for a minute and look at the landscape of North Carolina, or maybe the nation, and the education upheaval that's taking place. And maybe the question is, what's the importance of home education in the cultural landscape?
Yeah, I think first, that's a big question. So first of all, I'd say, if there was a golden lining in the whole COVID thing, it was that every parent in the country and every parent in our state had to take a look at education. Well, guess what? A whole bunch of them didn't like what they saw. The other thing that was really incredible is, and I know the homeschool kids might not feel as good about it, but they didn't miss any days. And so the homeschool community just continued to move on, and you're starting to see how big that is, because a lot of the other ones have not. We've got all this stuff about learning loss and stuff. Well, the homeschool community didn't experience that. Private school community didn't really as much either, because most of them stayed open as well. But from a cultural standpoint, if we're going to preserve our culture, the homeschool community is vital. In that, one of the things that we did, we spent a lot of time teaching Christian worldview and American history, and that's vital, and it's not being taught everywhere. We can be a really powerful force in how we educate our kids, and so I want to encourage all the homeschool parents out there that may be weary. It's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. Just stick it out, and make sure you've got other families with you to do it. That's what we did. We had about 5 or 6 homeschool families, and we just all ran together, and it turned out great.
We may have covered most of it, but would you have any last thoughts for homeschool dads?
Yeah, homeschool dads, be engaged. I didn't do as much of the day-to-day stuff, but what I was able to do was, teach my kids about, work. I know that sounds crazy, but we're in a situation where we have a whole generation. A lot of them don't want to work or know how to work. And so we had a little place where we had animals and stuff, and so we taught them how to work and set that example. Also, you get kids with different gifts. When you see that, encourage them. My one son, wildly mechanically inclined.
Okay.
I mean, off the charts. So I can do a little bit, but I'm not, so I helped him. I taught him how to start a little business, and he did, building birdhouses. And then he made enough money, he wanted to buy a Jeep. And so at 11 years old, he bought a 1952 Willys military Jeep.
Great.
Brought it home. I bought him a manual, original manual, because they were made for anybody to use. And he broke that thing down and restored it and had it ready 2 weeks before he turned 16. And I mean, it's beautiful.
Wow.
But
so for years he was working
for 5 years.
Oh,
and so,
goodness.
but it was interesting because he was so passionate about it. he would do his schooling and he'd be done 11:30 or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go to the garage. And then what I did is I would help him wherever I could, or put him in touch with folks, or, I was supplying the different things that he needed so that he could keep doing that. And that has served him really, really well. He rebuilt, to give you an idea of his ability, he rebuilt the transmission when he was 12.
That's fantastic. and here's a thought here is that the expectations are so low.
Yes.
And when we give opportunity and equip them and the space and time, which home education is one of those that gives you the extra space and time for those things.
And it doesn't matter. And you nailed it. It's about recognizing and helping create the opportunity. And that's one of the things, I think dads particularly can do with their boys, but also with the girls. We had some of our kids are really musically inclined. And so we created an opportunity for that too. And, it all depends on what they're interested in. And if you can just open that opportunity up and give them the time. And the other thing I really like about homeschooling is basically what we're doing is we teach our kids how to learn. And if they teach them how to learn and they are excited about that, all you got to do then is just keep putting in front of them and they'll learn it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's extraordinary to me. That was probably one of the biggest things that really revealed to me with homeschooling is just even with the most aggressive public schooling that there is, it's still shooting really low.
Yeah.
Because they have to gear it towards everybody.
That's right. Yeah.
And whereas for us, my oldest son was different than my other son.
That's right.
My oldest daughter was different than both of them, and my youngest daughter was different than all three of them. And so we've catered to what works.
That's right. And that's what we always emphasize, and what I keep emphasizing is that when our kids struggle in a certain area, we can give them all the extra attention and time they need.
Yep.
When they excel in an area, they can go as fast as they want.
Yep, turn them loose.
And that's one of the best benefits.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm a huge fan, and I would have nothing I would have done differently. And hopefully someday, maybe I can help homeschool some grandchildren. We'll see.
That'd be great. Well, Representative Zenger, we're glad that you took some time to talk to us. Glad we could get in touch.
Glad to
Appreciate
do
you sharing.
And I will look forward to seeing you. You say that's April 5th?
April 5th. That's
April
right.
5th. I'll make sure that we're ready.
And if you're in Forsyth County, or the side that you're on, the west side, then make an appointment so you can make sure and meet up.
And the other thing too is, if any of you are doing government or anything like that, and you'd like me to come and speak with some kids, get some kids together, I do that all the time as well. And
nice.
So if you're in my district, that's easy for me to do on a Monday or a Friday. Otherwise, come on down here on the 5th, and I will take you out on this house floor and show you all kinds of things.
Cool. Thanks so much. All right.
Talk to you.
Yeah. Okay, we are ready for Homeschool Helps with Amanda. She's live right now. And we've already told you, this is homeschooling high schoolers. Big deal.
That's right. And like we already said, when I first started homeschooling, I was scared, like a lot of people are. And then we got past that first year, we got into a groove, all was well, until my oldest daughter's 8th grade year. I suddenly realized we were going to be homeschooling high school, and I was scared all over again. Yeah, right. Absolutely. I had that freak out moment. Maybe even more so because high school just felt so much bigger and more consequential than 4th grade when we started. So if you're looking ahead to starting high school at home, or maybe even pulling someone out of school to homeschool high school, let me encourage you, first of all, it is normal to feel a little bit scared, a little bit nervous. Right. It's normal. Maybe overwhelmed. It's okay. Right. And there's so much help for you. Like we've already mentioned today, there's great workshops at the Thrive Conference. We have webinars. We have this Homeschool Help segment right now. So we want to help you. There's so many resources out there. So where to start? I always tell people to begin homeschooling high school with the end in mind. What does that mean? Mm-hmm. It means look down the road as best you can and try to envision what the next step for your student is going to be after high school, and make a plan based on that. So can we really know beyond a shadow of a doubt what the future holds for our kids? Of course not. Of course not. And sometimes, okay, maybe most of the time. Things change.
Right.
But it is so much better to make a plan. And that way, whatever their future holds, whatever God has for them, they'll be equipped for it.
Keep the options open.
Absolutely. Now, I know some families that they know absolutely for their family and their circumstances, if their student continues with education after high school, they're going to begin at a community college. And then if they need more education after that, then they would transfer to a four-year university. Now, the academic requirements for that scenario are different than for a student who absolutely plans to go straight into a four-year university, right? Another scenario would be if you have a child that wants to or plans to play sports in college. This is where I am right now. You must start planning for that and keeping detailed records the whole time in high school. That's a whole different thing. And sometimes you make a plan with a certain end in mind, and then things change altogether. But that's okay. That's okay. The plan is always flexible. It's a guideline. It's not a law. It's just something to help you as you're coaching your student through high school, right? Now, here's a very short version of what to do, because this could be a whole hour workshop, but I've got, 8 or so minutes. So we're going to go short. So make a loose 4-year plan. Again, based on what as best as you can ascertain that your student will be going on to do after graduation. Now, let me remind you that here in North Carolina, we're our own private school once you open your homeschool. So that means you set your graduation requirements and you issue your student their diploma when you decide that they've met those requirements. So I would encourage you, high school is such a wonderful time for students to really dive into their passions, explore what they're interested in, to discover things that they might want to do after high school, or discover things they definitely don't want to do, right? So yes, make a plan. Now, for my kids in my house, I wanted them to be able to attend a 4-year university if that's what they needed or wanted to do. So I looked at the admission requirements for several different 4-year universities, and I based my graduation requirements around that.
Right.
Now remember, there's a lot of room for creativity and diving deep into passion subjects within that plan. Let me give you some examples. The plan may say English 1, English 2, English 3, English 4, but what is included in those courses is up to you, right? One of my high schoolers loved movies and hated to read. So one of his English credits was based on a book called Movies as Literature.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. He did actually have to read and write to complete that course, but it included something he loved to do. So it helped. One of my high schoolers was a pre-professional ballet dancer and spent many hours in high school doing a ballet apprenticeship. 100% that counted as a credit on her transcript, right?
That's great.
And then one year, my high schoolers at the time spent many hours studying and performing music. That was an elective credit for her. My oldest son started a business when he was 16, and he spent many hours studying how to run the business. He created a website, he designed flyers, he created invoices and did all of that. You better believe that was on his transcript.
Lots of work.
Entrepreneurship, right?
That's right.
So there's so many opportunities that you can do within the plan. Again, I can't possibly give you all the ins and outs of homeschooling high school in this short little segment. But for more details, go to nche.com. We have some free webinars, one on homeschooling high school, one on preparing for college. Come to the Thrive Conference, go to those workshops. They will help you and equip you. We also have a great section at nche.com/helps. There's a whole section on homeschooling high school, and it will help you.
Right.
And as always, you can email me at helps, HELPS, at nche.com. And I'd love to help answer your questions. So
Great.
there we go.
Super helpful.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We appreciate you guys joining us once again this week on the show. We'd love to hear from you. You can write us at the Homeschool Show at nche.com. If you have questions, if you have things you would like us to talk about, let us hear from you. Also, we'd love for you to share this with friends and family that you think it would be encouraging and inspiring for. That's what we want to do, is help parents homeschool with confidence and joy. So you can help us do that by connecting us with more people.
Right.
And until next week, continue to do that. Homeschool with confidence and joy.
Bye-bye.